Okay, so here we are with the nightly newsfeed roundup, number 10, and behind me is my new house guest, Perry Zamet.
Yes.
You might recognize his face from American television. He is very perfluent, to use an OED term, on American television. You might recognize him. So I'm going to zip through the headlines really quick so as to keep the namesake. And then I'm going to hand the mic over to Perry because he has a story, a reason for being here. David Icke, remember who you are, my relentless campaign to sell my book and remind you who you are. As if you don't already know who you are and you need David Icke to sell you his book to remind you who you are. Thank you, David Icke. But his son Gareth, I love his song. It's a great song. And a great video. Father, I'm not too sure about. Rothschild Zionist Cameron says Euro needs single government. Well, I think that the European people have gotten past that, and that is no longer a big worry. DNA destroying chip being embedded into mobile phones. Watch out, folks. I don't think it's going to happen, but there it is. I'm going to skip past that one and that one. False flag journalism. David Icke is big into false flag journalism these days, and it is it's such a soft target. It's everywhere. Hundreds of flight attendants fall ill with hair falling out. I don't know. Check into it. Biden to Israel. Bomb away! And there's a nice graphic there of Biden with the Star of David on his third eye. That's nice, actually. It's really cool. I'm just kind of zipping down here because I want to give Perry the stage. The countdown to the breakup of the euro has officially begun. Well, yes, it has, because these Zionist motherfuckers with their insane plans, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think Perry is a very pure man, and I don't want to use too much profanity tonight. Say no to NATO. Reasons to join the protest in London on 19 May 2012. Well, if you don't have enough reasons already, I don't know, you need a brain check. FBI wants access to your Facebook. I think Facebook is already a CIA operation, so I'm not going to go into that. Hundreds of thousands of Ron Paul supporters voted for Romney today. I'm not going to begin to go into this. I will just say that Ron Paul is a Freemason, and Ron Paul, his platform perfectly supports the globalist agenda. Bring the drug-addled troops home to a gutted economy and let them go crazy in a dystopian Austrian economics hell. I am not a Ron Paul believer at all. TSA agent whacks congressman in the testicles. TSA agent whacks congressman in the testicles. Well, what are you going to do about that, Congressman? What are you going to do about that? Are you going to change? You going to change your special interests? Are you going to change your lobby at that point, Congressman? Whatever Congressman that you are. Let me see here. We're at 5 minutes and almost up onto 6 minutes here. That was a good segue. So now I'm going to introduce you to Perry Zanet, who has just joined me to be my house guest from the wilds of North America, and he has just plunged into the wilds of Northeast Asia to start a new career. And he has an interesting story to tell as to why he came here. This story has to do with things that I have been discussing on this blog. So I will now turn the blog over to Perry. Hello, Perry. Move in, there you go. Take your seat and tell your story.
Okay. Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt.
James.
Oh, hi, James. My name is Perry Zanet. Yes, I have come to Korea, hoping to start a new career, or actually to continue an old one. I've read that there are many opportunities available for white and other Western actors in Korea, and this reaches into all areas. Voiceovers, voices for cartoons, dubbing Korean and other Asian films and television shows, commercials, and perhaps advertising and promoting American products to Asian audiences. There was no real work available for me in New York. What I was doing there was getting called from time to time to do background work or audition, on shows like the Law and Order shows, or to audition for Broadway shows where I got close to being cast. I'm also here for deadly personal reasons. My father, until about 2 years ago, was as lucid as you or I. Unfortunately, when he went to have his stents replaced, and he had to have them done early because they had broken down. Stents are artificial canals to facilitate the passage of, without being indelicate about it, urine through the kidneys. He was given a great deal of anesthesia. After that, my sister told me his doctor told her that he was now suffering from dementia. The next day, she said, perhaps that was premature. I will have to see how he reacts as he comes out of the effects of the anesthesia. Well, since that time, he has spent a great deal of time, more time in Aurora Bucks Hill Nursing Home in Waterbury, Connecticut, than in our own home. He only has 100 days of Medicare each year there. And when this period seemed to be drawing to an end, when I went to the home to see him, I actually was called there at the behest of the home's accountant. I was told that I would have to sign over his Social Security check, on which I had been, not making that much money as an actor, had been living along with him because I couldn't get work as I had to stay home and take care of my dad. And she said, you'll have to sign that Social Security check over to us as his Medicare is running out and he is not yet on Medicaid. And I said, but if I do that, I'll have no money. And do you want me to sign the home over to you too? And he said, yeah, you'll have to do that. Even though the administrator at the home later told me we're not interested in the house. And so did the social worker regarding his case. And so it seems to me, the administrator would be far less knowledgeable about whether or not I had to sign the home over to them rather than the accountant, and yet the accountant said so, even though there was no need to do so. And when I told her on hearing this, if I sign over to you my dad's Social Security check on which I've been living as I've been staying home to take care of him, and the house as well, I'll have nothing. I'll be out on the street. And she said, with a perfectly straight face, try to think of it as making a new start for yourself. The friend who lent me the money to come to Korea, when I told him about this, couldn't believe she had said such a thing. He said, what an idiot. And that has been the reaction I've gotten from just about anyone else to whom I've told this. They've said it shows state workers are not interested in compassion or caring, taking care of the elderly or the sick, seeing they have a fine home to live in or to see to their needs. All they want is their money and to keep their homes for the elderly and other projects going, as that is that from which they profit. I'm here to turn that around, to make as much money as I can, to buy our house, which is under a reverse mortgage, keep a good home for myself and my cats, and see to it that my dad is taken care of. And from what I've been told by you, Jim, and by the agents with whom you've put me in touch, there are many opportunities for American actors in Korea, so I hope to profit from that.
Is that your whole entire story?
I actually have to blame my dad a bit here. When my grandparents died, we got their home. We could have sold it right away. For whatever reason he chose not to. When my mother died 5 years later and my grandmother died, we found out later, just at the moment my grandfather was being laid into his grave, December 1st, 1993, at a time when the sun came out for the first time all day. An old friend of his said, there's a meaning to this. I don't know what it is, but there's a meaning to this. We always felt my grandfather was calling to my grandmother from heaven, but almost 5 years later to that day, my mother died. And my dad could have sold the house then. He didn't want to. My grandparents' house and our own house, he held on to both. He would not sell. I don't know what his purpose was. And he said something that was anathema to me and had been anathema to him for most of his life. 8 years after my mother died, in 2006, when it looked like we were having problems paying our fuel bill, my fuel bill, for the home in which I was living, our old home, while my dad lived in my grandparents' home. He said, go on welfare. He says, what? That's unconstitutional. State welfare is unconstitutional and goes against the Bible, which, as the Bible states, men must take care of each other, not through the government. This is just a ploy by the state to replace God with itself. He wouldn't listen. I never really took welfare. I just took it to pay my fuel bills. I can pay that back. I'm hoping I make enough money to pay that back. That is what I will do for 6 years. As he sunk into his state, he wanted aid from social workers, nurses.
Okay,
but I hope to reverse that.
We gotta cut this off. I'm running up on my time limit. I think you have gotten a proper earful from Perry Zanet. Thank you for sharing. This is James Fargon, over and out. More from Perry later.